It's This Week in Bourbon, and make sure you stack your dirty dishes properly at a restaurant. Here's your headlines for May 2nd, 2025. National Bourbon Week in Bardstown has some new releases and some new events they're doing. There's also some new Derby insider secrets that I got privy to from Brown Forman, and Trek Spirits and Stellum collaborate on some new whiskeys. And before we get started, here's a quick word from our partners. Hey everybody, happy Bourbon Derby time, but it's also bourbon time all the time. But happy Derby week.
Derby week, yes. The most chaotic week of the year.
It's been a marathon so far.
Yeah. Had the birthday Monday, golf scramble Monday.
Oh yeah, happy 40th again.
Well, thank you. Appreciate everybody that texted me. I tried to get back and say thank you to everyone. I got a ton of texts. I felt popular today.
See, if your wife ever
I showed my wife, I was like, people care about me. You know,
you could look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm somebody.
Yeah, totally. But we had that was the very first time me and you played golf together. Yeah. I was impressed by your golf game.
You know,
it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be.
For as much as you practice swings around here, I'm very unimpressed with your golf
exactly.
game. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. That was the first time out this year. Wasn't my best.
No.
Wasn't my worst, but wasn't my best.
Yeah, that's what...
Actually, if we were playing our own ball, I probably would have been happy with how I played. But it's when you're in a scramble, you think you're Tiger Woods every hole. So,
well, anyway. We were also with two other guys that... pretty decent, and so I think I only got to use my ball twice the entire day. You get to use yours maybe 4 or 5 times, something like that. So and be fair, it's like I hit a few good drives right down the middle, right where they needed to be, but the other two guys just outdrove me. Even though they might have been in the rough, mine was in the fairway, but they outdrove me, and so
about 100 yards. No.
I'm not gonna disagree. I don't know.
You got that power fade slice thing. Takes a lot of distance off.
Yeah, it does. I need to do what you did, because you actually went and got new clubs fitted for you and did all that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
Did it the right way.
Yep, and lessons, which helped tremendously. So,
see, I need to do all that too.
But if you don't keep up with it, it's like anything else. You don't. Golf's one of those things you have to play once a week to be good, and I play maybe 5 times a year.
If I play 3 times a year, that's still... that's a highlight for me. But I was excited to play golf with you, man. We all these years, 10 years together, that's the first time we've ever swung some sticks together.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, we were even going to try to go and hit the driving range beforehand.
Yeah, but rain canceled that.
Never made it happen.
No.
But I'm just glad I didn't go out there and slice everything into the trees every single swing, and I didn't completely embarrass myself. So that's a pretty big win in my day.
Yes, you should be proud.
Even though I did have, the only time that I whiffed on a drive was the one that you got on camera.
I know. I've been trying to wait a few days to be like, can you send me that one? I think it'd be some good content.
Oh man, I'm just gonna have to go ahead and because I'll be like, listen, I'm not the only one who whiffed on a drive that day.
I did. I didn't completely whiff. I just swung and it went like 2 feet.
You
completely whiffed.
I completely whiffed. Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think we were on hole. It had to have been 14 to 16 at that point. And I've just got to think about me. It's like the first 2, I'm finding my balance. 3 through 9, I'm doing pretty decent. And then after that, if we're drinking during the day, it's going to take a little bit of a toll to me where I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to feel a little loose with it, whatever. I'll just kind of grip it and rip it and kind of put all my thoughts of, make my breathing under control, make
left
sure left arm straight, make sure the right arm's following through at the right, muscle speed and whatever. And it just all kind of goes to hell.
Yep. That's golf.
But that was fun.
Yep. Then you were at the Brown Forman suite. Yesterday.
Yeah, I'll talk about a little about that here in a little bit.
I was at the Paddock Club.
Yeah, that was fun.
That place is just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like I go there and it's the one day I feel like I'm rich, even though I didn't.
You didn't pay for the tickets.
Yeah. But that it's just they do an awesome job there, and it was just so well thought out, and it's just like the most immersive experience because you get to be in the paddock. You go through that tunnel of barrels out to the paddock, you're around the horses, then you can walk behind the horses out to the track. Then you have you gotta watch out for horse manure everywhere. And then you go and you have your own area right on the rail. You can watch each race. And then inside is just absolutely stellar. So it was good.
Yeah.
And the cocktails were good. The mint julep and the old fashioned were actually pretty good there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll
And the
save
food
mine.
was awesome.
I'll save mine for here in a little because the food was okay for where we're at. You've had it there before
yeah.
up there in the Millionaires Row kind of area and whatnot.
But I did not cash a single ticket the entire day. It was like nobody who we were with won a race. Like
Really?
it was just like it was the most demoralizing. Like I'm supposed to go to the track Saturday, and now I'm like I don't even want to go to Derby because, and I'm in like a nice area again because of friends, not because of me. And I'm like I just got my ass kicked all day.
I know the first race we cashed a ticket. My wife did $5 across the board on the horse, and it was the favorite, and it came in third. So we lost $10 on that race, even though we won. So,
right?
Yeah, it was whatever. Anyway, at the top, I kind of mentioned, make sure you stack your dirty dishes properly at a restaurant. When you're done at a restaurant, do you put your dishes in a way that the server can take them, or do you let them just take them?
No, I like to help them out. And I try to stack them largest to smallest, that way they all fit together. But I hate them having to reach over like everybody and this and that. It's like, here they all are in one spot.
So somebody had actually done a poll that says, does it bother you when your table stacks their dirty dishes to help you clean up? Or should we stop doing this? Let me know. And most people said, thank you for stacking it. But if you are going to stack it, make sure that you don't have napkins and silverware like hidden beneath all of the plates
to make them teeter.
It does that, and then all of a sudden you start lifting them up and they start going everywhere. So yes, so if you want to know, people in the service industry, they do appreciate it when you stack your plates.
All right. Well, I'll keep doing it.
You've been doing it right the entire time.
That's right.
I'm usually one of those people that I don't like to stack it. I usually just let there and let them reach over, just because the thought of...
And you're also a poor tipper. So servers hate you.
That's beside the fact. That's just because I didn't grow up in Europe. I'm just a bad human. But having dirty food on the bottom of the other plate, I don't know, for some reason it just bothers me. I'm also in that camp of, I don't like it when my food touches a lot either. I kind of like to have some sort of barrier, so maybe it's just something with that. It's hard to do that with Mexican food, though. It just kind of all spills over the place.
Yep. It all ends up the same place. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some stuff here, because it is Oaks Day if you're listening to this. So happy Oaks if you're out there, and
Turkey lilies.
If you're celebrating Derby tomorrow, go ahead and I didn't even put out my mint julep recipe this year, but it's in the archives. So if you want to find it, scroll through our Facebook post from every single Derby in past years, and you'll find it there as well. But yes, so want to give a huge shout out once again to our friends over at Brown Forman, Chris Pointer. I got to hang out with Elizabeth McCall and Melissa Rift and Caleb, who's their new assistant master distiller, and get to try some new things from them.
I heard.
Yeah.
I was sad I missed it.
Yeah, it was actually quite funny because we were sitting there. I was sitting there with Melissa. She came over and said hi to us. And before I get to that, I talked to Elizabeth first, because we just released that episode with her, and it was very apropos in time for Derby. And she's also going to be doing the opening toast once again on national news. So I said, do you script this at all? Do you practice it? Do you rehearse it? She goes, no, I'm just kind of just go and wing it. And
I love that.
She goes, I've done this so many times now. And I was like, oh, so it's like the Pledge of Allegiance to you at this point. You just know what you're doing. So that's pretty cool. So it's pretty badass to be able to do something like that on national television. So then Melissa comes over, and she noticed I pull out my Old Forester bottle pin that I have on my lapel pin. I bring it out my one time a year to show I'm still a company man with them. And she has her own lapel pin, yet it's a President's Choice bottle. And she goes, you should probably have Ryan come up here. We can probably get him in here for a tasting if he's going to be available. And I text you, and
I was on the party bus.
You were like, we're not even there yet.
Yeah. We were on the party bus boozing on the ride over.
So I'll kind of spill the beans for you. This is what's happening in the world of Brown Forman that they give us a little bit of insight into, is that one, we got to start our first tasting with some Old Forester President's Choice. Actually, not even that. The first tasting was some Herradura tequila, which was expertly poured by Chris Morris. So that was fun. So Chris was sitting there actually pouring tequila for everybody. I think he just wants to feel valued and used and not just sitting there. And so he's just like, yeah, give me this. I'll start moving around. So he was very active. But then we tried Old Forester President's Choice Bourbon, and they announced that this is now going to start going into distribution very limited, but
Yeah.
going into distribution. So at once and for the longest time, it had only been at the Old Forester gift shop. That's the only place that you can get it. And those drops were pretty hard to come by. But now they're going to start putting it out there in market. This is something that Melissa, Caleb, and Campbell Brown are really, and I think probably Chris Morris as well, are really the only people that get to select the barrels for this particular line. So they find the best of the best. Most of them are about 10 years old too.
That's exciting because they're very popular. I mean, they sell out, since they put them out instantly at the gift shop. So I'm sure fans will be excited. They don't have to come to Kentucky to have access to those, but I'm sure it's still going to be tough. And two, I'm sure you're going to have retailers that mark it up, more than.
Oh, yes.
And so, but it's good that I think we're going to be back in this exciting time in whiskey where you had these allocated bottles that are more readily available and not having to carve out 30 hours to camp out and do all this or, this and that. I think things are going to get back to that 2008, 2015 time frame where it was bourbon was that to me it was the best time, most exciting time in bourbon because you had great stuff, high age, very available, good pricing. If
you had the money, you could buy it if you wanted.
Exactly.
If you didn't, you bought your $40 bottle.
Exactly.
So that was exciting to be able to taste and kind of talk about. By the way, if anybody doesn't know the story behind President's Choice, it's actually, I forget what they said the first company that they did it for. I believe they said the governor was the first person they ever gave a barrel to for Old Forester, and that's what sent off this idea of but they also state claim that they were the first people that invented the single barrel program because of this. And then President's Choice, these were barrels that were given to presidents of various industries and companies, and they got their own barrel. But I guess now you get to be a president. Everybody can get their hands on a President's Choice.
That's right.
So after we tasted that one, they said, now we get to try something also brand new from they call it the PC lineup. That's their internal moniker. But they're coming out with President's Choice Rye.
Oh.
And this is another 10-year rye. This is barrel number 1 we got to try yesterday.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love I'm assuming it's, the Old Forester rye, Woodford mash bills. So just at a higher age and a single barrel.
No. So the President's Choice is the Normandy rye mash bill. So it's the same exact as Old Forester rye that you get today, just higher age and barrel proof.
Sign me up. That sounds good.
Yeah.
What's the price on it?
I didn't even question it. Didn't even ask. We're in the finish line, sweets. What's money?
That's true.
Just put it on the credit card, right? Swipe it. And then it keeps going from there. Elizabeth McCall takes center stage, starts talking about Woodford Reserve and talking about some packaging updates because apparently batch proof is very confusing to consumers. For us people in the whiskey world, we know that you dump a bunch of barrels together, you probably wash them out, you add a little bit of water if you get to the certain proof point, and that's your batch. That's your batch proof.
Yep.
And they said that consumers were saying that this is too confusing. So now going forward, the new Woodford Reserve batch proofs are going to be renamed to barrel strength.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone through that exercise ourselves. It's you don't want consumers having to think. You want them to just be oh, I understand what barrel proof is. I'll take that.
Yes.
Yep.
So they're doing that. Plus, they are also going to be releasing, as a part of this, Woodford Reserve Barrel Strength Rye.
Interesting.
Yes.
But back to the batch proof thing. But people don't.
Back to this.
But it's they don't get confused on foolproof, and foolproof does really well out on the market.
I don't know if people understand really what that means either.
Yeah.
I just think, I don't know. I don't know what the general consumer thinks.
I can honestly say I do not understand bourbon consumers. They make me question everything. So it's just funny. Anyways.
Well, I'm actually pulling up a picture I took yesterday. So the Woodford Reserve Barrel Strength Rye, at least what we had tried yesterday, was 125.1 proof.
Nice.
And then the barrel number 1 for the President's Choice, it was aged 124 months. So 124, that's going to be 10 and a third, right? And this was at, let's see how good your math is, 62.4. So you're 124.8. Yep. So that's what we tried yesterday.
Nice. I love how you had to put that in a calculator.
I am not. I've told you this before. I am not good at math. Don't ask me what 7 times 8 is. I'm not going to be able to do it on the fly here.
So, what was your favorite new expression?
I would say the Woodford rye was good. Actually, out of all those, the President's Choice Bourbon I think was my favorite. But second, if I had to choose a barrel proof rye to go with, I would go for the Woodford.
Nice. Yeah. Probably better value.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll find out. But it was fun. And then had a good conversation with Melissa. She wants to sit down with us at some point and talk proof and talk about when does proof matter to consumers and everything like that too. So it's fun.
They just want, there's a big segment. It's just like as high as it can be.
There is. And she feels
flavor be damned. I just want it to be as high as proof as possible.
You do say that. And Elizabeth even went to talk about how Woodford is really good and really balanced at 90.4. And she says that it is out of balance at its barrel strength offering.
Yeah. I've been saying that for years. Every whiskey has its perfect proof point, but like I said, I don't understand bourbon consumers because they just want the highest proof hazmat. Oh my god,
hazmat!
You put hazmat on anything, it sells like crazy.
People are crazy.
Yep,
that's the way it is. But yeah, she wants to come on and talk about that. I will oblige. It'll be fun. But she did say that she does feel that there is a trend of people drinking less proof. That she sees in the market. She travels more than me too.
I definitely see that. When I'm outside of whiskey, if I'm with whiskey fans that have been drinking whiskey for a long time, if you're with new people in the whiskey, they're still, they're like barrel proof or die. But people that they kind of go tend to like more 100, 110 kind of range.
Yeah.
But majority of the people that I know that drink bourbon, but they're not like geeks or anything, that 80 to 100 proof is kind of like
that's where they're at.
That's where they're at.
That's where they're at. And if you're here, you're probably right in the comments. I'm good with my barrel proof.
That's right.
Quit talking, guys.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. We just got a little bit of news to talk about. That's really kind of the big news to kind of talk about since we had that little bit of an insider access. Again, thank you to Brown Forman for the invitation. Always appreciated. Also want to give another shout out to Rabbit Hole. I got to go to their derby party last night. Did a fantastic job. They always do a great. I mean, there was entertainment. There was a band. They had girls that had like plastic rabbit noses like molded onto their face. It looked like it was part of their face. It was really freaky looking. I'm glad I wasn't, off my rocker or anything like that, because it would have probably sent me to like the corner and cry.
Yeah, Mac sent us a picture of you all, so I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah,
I'm probably sure
you didn't get an invite.
I might have. I was like,
I'm pretty sure you did.
We get so many emails. I try to triage and pick out the ones that need to get taken care of.
Yeah, but again, hats off to them. They did a fantastic job. Great whiskey. I got to try something new. I had never seen it before called Tenniel. I can't remember if we had talked about it before. I don't remember ever getting a sample about it, but it was called Tenniel, and it was in a box. The glass was thick. It was really great packaging. I believe it was a 10 or 12-year-old bourbon, but it was really, really good too.
Nice.
Yeah, so had that. And then I also tried the, you had some of the ones around here too, the orange curacao one. I actually didn't mind
all
it.
The Finish series ones.
Yeah, I think it was heavy on the orange curacao, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, all the Rabbit Hole stuff's gotten really good. I think they're got it dialed in, and obviously we loved some of their product that was made for someone else that we use in Melwood. But yeah, I've been really pleased with the progression Rabbit Hole's made. Their products have really stepped up and been really tasty here as of late.
Yeah, for sure. All right, more news here. One sentencer. If you didn't know, because you already tried to buy tickets, you didn't get it. Kentucky Bourbon Festival, they are completely sold out. All weekend passes, all $7,000 passes, all VIPs, gone in an instant.
Incredible.
Yes.
That's
bourbon's dead, Ryan.
I know.
Surprised you didn't know that.
It's long gone. It should have sold out in 1 minute.
Yeah, but I'd love to see it. That people keep talking about death and the bourbon, and there's too much of it, and I think just goes to show you that while there might be an over surplus of the general consumer out there, the people that are really into articles,
it. But then you sent me that thing Randall did with Bourbon Real Talk, and he was going through it was a really good episode on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll go through all the charts and production. And
it's on his YouTube channel.
Where we're at and consumption versus production. And we're actually kind of right in line where there's not like too much of an excess. Like they might dial back a little bit, but we're not like too far on the spectrum of oversupply.
How much did he say we're over? It was only like a couple thousand, like 50,000 barrels or
something like that. I can't remember the exact figures, but it was in like a reasonable line where you're not like in panic mode.
Yeah.
You know,
versus the one that came out on Vine Pair last week. I think it was by Susan or Suzanne, whatever it is, Barton, I know her last name. And she said that there's an oversupply of almost like 500,000.
Right.
Which,
well, she said there will be by 2028, there'll be 500,000 barrels in excess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that feel right? Or do you think that
not according to the charts that
you would lean towards Randy?
I thought I'd lean towards Randy because he showed like actual, bottling numbers and angel share loss and this and that. Like, so it was really well thought out, and I'm going to go with the more positive one. So
there we go. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I'm going to just cherry pick the data that fits the narrative in my head. So
it's just like anything else. That's we were like, this is the one I want to listen to. So
yeah,
it makes.
But these distillers been through this, like been 3 or 4 times in the last 100 years, and that's the hard part about whiskey is like you're making these decisions. You either have too much supply or not enough, and there's never like this time where you're like, oh, we have the perfect amount of supply forever.
It's never happened. No. Never happened. All right, so our last one we're going to talk about here is that National Bourbon Week has been announced. This is going to take place in Bardstown, known as the bourbon capital of the world. This is happening June 9th through June 15th of 2025. And this brings together world-class distilleries, exclusive tastings, educational experiences, and more at historic downtown Bardstown. This year's schedule includes a wide range of events for every bourbon lover with culinary offerings, cocktails, classes, tastings, and more. All the distilleries around there. And then they have a full schedule with ticketing information is now available on the National Bourbon Week website. And new this year is Bourbon Capital Alliance's The Mashup, that will bring together its 9 partner distilleries for a special evening at the just opened Bespoke and Bond event space. And this is going to pair each distillery with a local culinary partner to showcase the distinctive flavors found in each distillery's unique mash bill. In addition, proceeds from a blind bottle pull that evening will be directed to a local community cause. So on Saturday, June 14th, it's also going to be Pursuit Palooza Day in Bardstown, but it's also National Bourbon Day in downtown Bardstown, and they're going to have activities for all ages.
Nice.
Including a bounce house just for us.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just keep drinking your Bardstown mash bills and jump up and down.
Yeah. I've heard this street festival is really awesome, and it's kind of like help bridge the gap because a lot of locals were upset about Bourbon Festival, being a ticketed event, and whereas it used to be general public and locals would come, but this has been a nice alternative for locals, and they've really enjoyed it. So the city's done a great job with this, and that pairing dinner sounds awesome.
As a former local, you approve?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Bourbon Festival of old sucked, so I'm glad that it moved to the new format. Thank you.
Yes,
but a lot of locals like the free aspect of things, so I get it.
Well, everybody loves free.
Yeah,
but nobody shows up for free.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. All right, well, that's all for the bourbon news. Stick around. Just a little tiny bit bourbon release news coming up. All right, y'all, it is bourbon release news time. Like I said, just a couple to hit on here. And this other one is something brand new. It comes from a pastor out of North Carolina, and this is a craft spirits innovator called Oaklore Distilling Company. They have announced the nationwide release of its flagship Oaklore Four Grain Bourbon, and crafted at its sister distilleries in Kentucky and North Carolina. The 4-grain bourbon is distilled on a 24-inch Vendome all-copper column still using the big 4 American whiskey grains of corn, wheat, barley, and rye. The whiskey combines the best 5 to 6-year-old barrels of wheated bourbon and rye bourbon mash bills, which are aged separately and then hand-selected and batched together, producing a mash bill of 72% corn, 11% wheat, 10% rye, and 7% malted barley. And then
just call it a wheated bourbon.
It's might as well at this point.
Yep.
And then they get rebarreled for an additional aging of approximately 8 to 12 months in palletized, non-temperature controlled warehouses in North Carolina's Piedmont region, which is a plateau of gentle hills between the flat coastal plains and the state's majestic mountains. Oaklore also uses number 2, number 3, and number 4 char levels and multiple cooperages. It's 92 proof, non-chill filtered, $70 for 700 ml. Or sorry, 750 ml.
Nice. I've had some Oaklore stuff Sealbox did some stuff with them.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I guess I'll go over there and try it.
Yeah. I like the packaging. Thought the whiskey was actually pretty good. So I don't know if they're making them themselves or if they're using, there's a really popular contract distiller
called Sister Distilleries. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it's coming from the Paragon Southern Star, Southern Distilling.
Stateside now, or I think it's just called. Anyways.
Whatever it is.
But they're making great whiskey. So, I thought it was good. Sorry. I'll quit rambling.
I saw the Junkies also just released their first single barrel from Southern as well. So they're going to have another wheated bourbon in their lineup.
Nice.
So you can see they're catching on.
Yeah, I've liked everything that's come out that distillery. They're doing some good stuff.
Very good. This is going to be a quick one. Is that Woodinville is releasing a tequila finished Woodinville bourbon. The story was basically we made some whiskey, we sat it down, and we brought some whiskey or some tequila barrels in, and we aged them in it. So nothing too crazy, but there's less than 2,000 bottles available. The first 500 will be released at the distillery on May 3rd at 10 a.m. It's an SRP of $70, and it's also 100 proof.
The year of tequila finish seems like, you got the Booker's batch that they're doing tequila. Somebody, Angel's
Oath.
Envy.
Was it Blood Oath or was it something in the Luxro portfolio?
Yes, one of those. Then Angel's Envy's coming out with their rye finished in tequila. So yeah,
it's sitting right there in the box.
Yeah,
we should really get into these.
Steal people back from tequila, then I'm all for it.
Here we go.
I just don't understand people.
I can kind of see it, but there's a flavor, and we're whiskey guys, we're bourbon guys. That's what it comes down to. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're not listening to this for tequila talk, are you?
No.
So following the ongoing success of their fantasy gaming inspired brand called Quest End Whiskey, the fandom-centric spirits company called Find Familiar Spirits unveils its latest chapter called Quest End's Druid. Crafted for and by fans, this limited edition release will be available on May 1st. And for Season 2, Quest End has leveled up with a unique FAM Club, and that's FAM Club, community membership, and a forthcoming High Rollers Guild lineup that includes Druid as well as Monk, Wizard, and Revenant releases. The company co-founder, Matthew Lillard, is spring is a season of renewal and transformation, and felt like the perfect moment to launch Quest End's Druid. And with all the Quest End releases, Druid arrives accompanied by a new chapter of their ongoing original saga called Dawn of the Unbound Gods, with a cover and bottle art by Tyler Jacobson, the highly acclaimed fantasy and science fiction artist known for his work in Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering. The chapter and remaining chapters of Season 2 are being written by fantasy fiction powerhouse Andrew Stewart, best known as the Sunday Times bestselling author of the Drowning Empire trilogy. Inspired by the Druid magic of the forest, Find Familiars. This is good.
That's a lot.
This is fucking nerds. With our rye whiskey finished in both rum and rouge vermouth barrels. This price is $150.
Yeah, Cecil's out on this one.
I'd love to try it. And by the way, I meet nerds with the best intentions.
We're nerds, yeah.
But
just different nerdism.
I read this and I was like, oh, nerds, we got to get them. Best movie about it. You don't really talk about Revenge. Did you ever watch Revenge of the Nerds?
I haven't.
God,
no.
knew it.
I
knew you were going to say that. You've never seen the guy that, he's slamming down. They're like, nerds. Man.
I know. I was sheltered as a kid.
You need another COVID so you can just sit back, and you need to watch my entire library on Plex.
I'll sign me up.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to continue this nerd theme going because Star Trek Spirits. And by the way, I'm just messing with y'all. The official brand of Star Trek, the franchise, proudly announced a groundbreaking collaboration with Stellum Spirits, a contemporary whiskey from Barrel Craft Spirits. What sets this release apart is both expressions are housed in iconic Romulan ale bottles, which is a symbol of the Star Trek's rich history. It's deeply rooted in Star Trek lore and famously outlawed by the United Federation of Planets. So Romulan ale has long embodied the mystery and intrigue. Now this legendary bottle bridges the world of science fiction and exceptional whiskey. The first is they're going to have a blended rye whiskey, which is 118.02 proof. The second is a cask strength blended whiskey, which is at 120.67 proof. These limited releases will be available online at StarTrekSpirits.com at a suggested retail price of $80 per bottle.
Can't shock them, spock them.
What? Oh man, I don't know if that's that's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't. How have I not heard of that one?
You never heard that before?
No. Well, I mean, I know the Spock, but
it's said a different way. But anyways,
okay.
I made it PC for this.
There you go. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I didn't anticipate that being in our bingo card for this week, but that is what's happening in the world of bourbon.
Yeah, Stellum's back, I guess, huh?
You know, we got a chance to talk to Joe and Tripp and all of them every once in a while, but glad to see them back in the news.
Yeah, totally.
That's for sure.
I thought those Stellums were pretty good.
I thought
because they were all like their MGP stocks, right? The Stellum line.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were getting rid of that line or not, so I guess
it's been a few years since I've seen anything come out of that particular line, so I'm glad to see it come back with Star Trek.
For sure. There we go. Nope, that's not the line. What's the line from Star Trek? What's the?
No, never mind. That's Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I was like
to infinity and beyond.
I was about to say that. Okay, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Didn't really. If you thought I watched Revenge of the Nerds, I definitely didn't watch Star Trek.
No, you didn't. That one didn't stand a chance.
No.
All right, that's it for this week in bourbon. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time, and happy Derby.
Happy Derby. Toodles.